Hello, welcome to another video, and as the title says, it's about you wanting to fly RC planes and you don't know what to do. Okay, so I'm going to give you a breakdown of how I did it and the mistakes I made and some of the bad information that I was provided. Okay, so I was really not wanting to fly RC planes. I was more into RC cars. I got a lot of RC cars, bikes, trucks, etc, etc. But I went to a friend's house. Now he does a lot of 3D printing and he had a bunch of 3D printed planes, and he gave me one, and so I said, oh great, that's cool, I'll give that a try. So I got it all set up thanks to his help. I had to fit servos, I had to fit a motor and all that, you know, it was really basic stuff, but he did give me a lot of help with it. However, I think some of the information those guys provide is wrong. Okay, so a lot of the people that join those groups is to get information about how to go about becoming a new pilot. The people that provided the information are old. Some of them, sometimes I find, now I may get shot down for this, right, but sometimes I find a lot of the people that provide that information, the so-called experts, are old school RC pilots. They've been flying for a long time, before gyros were invented, before technology was really at the level it is today. And the three bits of advice that I found is the most common is go to an airfield and get a buddy to teach you. Okay, the other one is buy a trainer plane, and the third one is get a simulator. So let's go through all three of them because I tried all three. Okay, so the first one was go to an airfield, which I did. Now these airfields aren't close to me, they're like 45 minutes away. Okay, the guys that own I went to two. The guys that owned the airfields, great guys, really nice, but they're not there to teach you how to fly. Okay, they were there strictly just running the club. They did point out two guys to go and speak to. I did speak to both of them. One of the guys had no time for me, said, look, I'm really busy, I don't have long, so I can't help you. The other guy said, yeah, sure, I can help you learn how to fly. These are my charges, this is how much I charge, and these are the days that I'm here for you to come and learn from me. The days that he gave me, I couldn't make them. They were during the week. I go to work, you know. I mean, obviously these guys were retired, they were slightly older than me, so they're probably there every day, right? So went to the other club, pretty much the same. Some of the people wouldn't even speak to me, you know, so I found it, some of the people were very rude, condescending, and it's almost as if they didn't want you to join. You know, they had the little club going on. So after about half an hour of watching some of the planes take off and land, I just left, and I didn't think about going to another club again. I might, because I found another club that's close to me. Well, I say close, it's 40 minutes away, but I still might go there. So what did I do? I tried the third option, the simulator. Now there's various simulators you can get. The most common one is Real Flight. It's not cheap, it's quite expensive. You could probably buy a plane for that much, right? I think it's over £100, and if you opt to buy the one with the transmitter, it's about £150, right? So it's not cheap at all. There are free versions, but you do have to provide your own transmitter for that, and not all transmitters work, which is what I found. Okay, so I bought the cheap transmitter again, plugged it all in, didn't work, did some research, not compatible. So the simulator I kind of left to the side for the time being. And the third one was buy a trainer. Now, trainers, you Google RC plane trainers, they're not cheap either. They're like, the cheapest one I found was like over £100, right? So, and these are like proper trainers. If you go to a model shop, now I'm lucky, I have a really good model shop near to me, and I went in there and I spoke to the guys. I've been getting there for a long time, and I said, what do I need to do? What trainers would you advise me to buy if I wanted to learn how to fly a plane? And they said, well, these are the trainers, and their cheapest one was about £109. Oh no, actually it was a bit more, it was about £120. It was a Aero Scout. But what the guy said to me was, but I would advise you against buying that. What I would do is jump onto AliExpress and buy one of those cheap planes, right? They're considered toy grade, but what it will teach you is orientation. Because when you're flying away from yourself, left is left, right is right, up is down, up is up, down is down, right? But when you're flying towards yourself, it's the other way around, except for the elevation, of course. Up is still up, down is still down. But he goes, the thing with those planes is that you can crash them over and over again, and they probably won't break. And if it does break, you're only going to lose about 30 quid. Whereas if you buy one of these trainer planes, you're looking at about £110. Then you have to buy your transmitter, which is going to be more money. It's going to rack up pretty quick. So their advice was to go and get one of these cheap planes from AliExpress, or they didn't have any in stock at the time, but they do now. And they gave me a couple of links and said, go and try one of those and just get used to it. Yeah, they're classed as toy grade, but they fly. they go left and right, they've got a gyro. It will really help you get out and get some confidence with your flying. Okay, so I bought one. I think that my first one was the links that he sent me was like a Boeing plane. It was like 32 quid, took a couple of weeks to arrive. Came with the batteries, came with the transmitter, came with everything you needed. All I needed to do was charge up the battery, and it was a LiPo, it was a 2S LiPo. Put some batteries in the transmitter, go to the park, and it had wheels. It took off fine and fly it around. Now, I read the manual, and it had a gyro on it, and this, that, and the other, and I flew that thing for days. I did a video on it as well, actually, so I'll link the video in below. So I flew that for days, and I crashed it 100 times, and nothing broke. Oh no, I'm wrong. One of the engines came off. Now the engines wasn't actually a real engine, it was just for show. The actual propellers were on the back of the plane, so that's how it flew, with the propellers that were at the back. So it looked like a Boeing. It had the jets on it, but the jets didn't really do anything. They were just for show. One of them broke off on this one landing that I did, and I just glued it back on. So I flew that for days, and then I got more adventurous and looked at some of the other links that they had, and slowly I started buying more AliExpress type planes, toy grade maybe. But then you moved on to planes like the Volantex series, the Warbirds. Now, I wouldn't class those as toy planes, because I definitely wouldn't give a child one of those, because A, they went quite fast, B, they were quite tricky to fly, and C, it's got LiPos and chargings and stuff. I wouldn't let my kid do that, because they're dangerous. LiPos are dangerous. Everybody knows that, right? I mean, if it was just normal batteries, fair enough, but these were like proper LiPos and stuff. So I didn't really think that they were toy grade as such. They were more mid-toy to hobby grade, okay? And then I started just doing a lot of flying with the Volantex series. I had the version 1s, which was the Trojan, I think. I did do a video on this. I'm going to link that below as well. And then I bought the 400mm ones, which were the version 2, and those flew a bit faster and a bit better. And again, they had their gyro fitted in, and their gyros were pretty much like the ones that you get today with Spectrum. So you have the safe technology where you've got three position switch. One is full stabilization, so you can't roll it over, and your rates are limited. So how much you bank and how much you tilt up and down is limited. So for a beginner, that's great. Then you have like an optimized mode, or AS3X, which gives you full control of a plane. It's still slightly limited, but there is some like gyro going on there. And then there's off. Same with these Volantex planes. You have those 3 modes. You have beginner, intermediate, and then expert, which is kind of beginner is your full safe, and then your intermediate is your AS3X, and then expert is just off. Okay, so I started beginner, then I would flick it into intermediate, then back into beginner when I thought, oh crap, I'm about to crash. And that's kind of how I got into it. It was only after I think I've flown those planes for about 6 months, and I crashed them loads of times. And the worst thing you can do with those planes if you crash is break your propeller. And you could just buy a whole bunch of propellers. Trust me, I bought like 20 propellers off AliExpress, and it cost me like 20 quid, right? I mean, the plane was about 60 pounds. So for me, breaking a propeller 1 in every 3 flights weren't no big deal. I'm not crashing a 120 pound plane or a 150 pound plane, and the chances of me being able to fix that is going to be slim, okay? So that's what I did, and then I moved on to some slightly bigger planes. I had the KK A500, which was like a huge biplane, and then I also bought an EDF jet plane, which was again kind of toy, between the toy and hobby grade, and that flew quite well. I had to do some amendments to get it to fly right, but it was still pretty decent. Again, came with everything: your controller, your LiPos, and your and the plane. So it was all get out of the box, charge it up, go out and fly. So it was those kind of planes that I got, and I think I learned a lot from those planes. You learn your orientation, you learn about landing and taking off. Although it wasn't great with those planes, because they can be a bit hard to land, especially on grass and the places where I was flying them. And then I moved on to my first hobby grade plane. Now, my first hobby grade plane was the Flight Test Adventurer. I'd actually had it for quite a while, but I just didn't feel I was ready to go and fly it. So the first hobby grade plane, I would say, is where you have to put your own electronics in. So you put your own receiver in, you set it all up, and then you go and fly it. Yes, some of those hobby grade planes you can buy ready to fly, okay, but I wanted to do it my own way because I already had a transmitter. So I went with the Spectrum route because that's what everybody on YouTube uses, contrary to what people say on Facebook groups. Spectrum is rubbish, it's too expensive. But if you look at all of the major YouTubers that do RC planes, the majority of them, actually 9 out of 10, will be using Spectrum. Why? They're using it for a reason, right? They're not using Radiomaster, they're not using FlySky or Flyfans, whatever, what the other brands are called. They're using Spectrum. So that's the route I went. Yeah, it's slightly more expensive, but I want to use what they're using because that's the route I want to go. The beauty of Spectrum is that it's easy. You don't have to spend a lot of time setting a plane up, and there are hundreds and hundreds of videos of people setting up planes using Spectrum equipment. So that's the route I went. I mean, I'm not saying you have to, but that's the route I went because I saw that for every plane that was being reviewed, chances are it was a Spectrum setup, so I could just pause the video and just copy their setup and how they did it. So for my first plane was the Flight Test Adventurer. I got a Spectrum receiver with gyro, so it had AS3X. Set it all up, watching a video. I never done it before, so I'd watched a video, and it took me a couple of days to get it all set up right. And then I kind of like, ooh, do I take it out to fly? It's not something that I've just pulled out of a box and put a battery in it. I've actually set this up myself. So was I confident enough to take it out after I'd set it all up? But I did, and you know what? It flew great. It was brilliant, actually, knowing that you had put that plane together, you had actually set it all up, and you flew it, and I landed it. It was fine. Yep, I did have a slight little crash on it, but that was fixed. Wasn't a big deal. But that's the other thing. Crashing is a part of the hobby, so there will be times when you crash. And if you look at some of the experts flying out there, even they crash. Sometimes it's their fault. Sometimes it's the plane's fault. Sometimes I just watched a video the other day, and some guy was flying this huge SU, so a MiG-29, and all of a sudden it veered to the left and went headfirst into the ground. And when he picked all the pieces up and had a look at it, one of the rear elevators, the connecting rod, had come off, and it was because the thread on the rod, on the metal part of the rod, didn't go all the way, so it was only like halfway. So obviously that's a manufacturing fault, and that was the reason why it crashed, right? But yeah, crashing is a part of it. You have to accept that. But I didn't want to crash a 150-pound plane, so I'd rather crash a 60-pound plane and break a propeller and just replace it. So that's kind of how I learned how to do it. I mean, the way that these guys say on the forums and so on, I don't know, sometimes I just think that the information they're providing is old school. I mean, these guys probably flew back in the day. They didn't have technology like gyros, and I see that a lot as well. Learn how to fly without a gyro, learn how to fly without a gyro. Why? It's there for a reason, right? I mean, you can, yeah, by all means take it off when you feel comfortable enough to take it off, but why would you learn how to fly without a gyro? I don't see the point. It doesn't make sense. But all these guys are saying, yeah, you need to learn how to fly without a gyro. Gyros are no good. Even real planes have ILS equipment and, all of these electronic aids to help a pilot fly. Going to like a pilot of a 747, say, yeah, turn all your electronics off, let's see you fly. Doesn't make sense, right? They wouldn't do it. How could they put all these passengers' lives at risk by flying without all of that, all the aids that they have on a plane? Or every plane has some form of aid on it. So these pilots were saying that you shouldn't fly with any aids. Okay, they might have done it back in the day. That's fair enough, right? They didn't have gyros in the back of the day, and the electronics weren't as good as they are today. But in this day and age, we do have it. It's like telling them, don't use your mobile phone, use smoke signals, right? They wouldn't. And chances are guaranteed that they'll have a smartphone, right? So that's my take on it. I've now moved on to bigger planes. So I've just flew a FMS Ranger, which was a intermediate plane, and the video for that I did not long ago. And again, I flicked it from safe mode into AS3X mode, safe mode into AS3X mode. So I was using full stability and then limited stability. And my finger was always on the button, so whenever I thought, oh shit, I've lost control, I would flick it into safe mode and it would put me back into safe mode. Because I'm not saying that I'm a great pilot, I'm not. I'm still a beginner. That's how I would class myself as, right? and now I've actually just flown a few jets. So I got my first EDF this year. Well, actually I bought it last year because it was going really cheap. Like I said, my local hobby shop said, look, hey Sonny, we're getting rid of these EDFs because we've got too many of them, do you want to buy one? And it was dirt cheap. And I was like, well, you know what, I'm not ready for a jet plane yet. And he goes, yeah, but just buy it and keep it, and when you are, you can just put it together and take it out for a fly. So I think it sat in my garage for about 8 months before I actually flew it, and I've only just flown that recently. And yeah, I did crash it, but I didn't crash it flying it. I actually crashed it because I couldn't launch it properly. In that video, again, I'm going to link in below, or look at my playlist. All my videos are there of all the planes I've flown, and that's pretty much how I've got to where I am. So I've been flying for about a year now, and I have flown some EDFs. I've got more EDFs coming. I like the EDF planes, but I do like the propeller planes as well. The FMS V2 Ranger, that was an awesome plane. It's massive, but it flew brilliantly, and you could really slow it down. The Flight Test Adventurer, that was a great plane as well. I mean, for me, the problem is getting out and to being able to fly. And I'm lucky enough to have a huge park near me, and early morning, there's always a part of the park that's not used. Right, so I can go there, do my flying. Now, I also, in the UK, there are some certain regulations with the CAA, so the Civil Aviation Authority. I do have a flyer ID, I do have an operator ID, because I thought, well, it's worth me getting those just in case I was approached by the police or someone complained or anything like that. So I have all of that. It's not that expensive. So, but I want to be safe, and I want to be able to go out there and not have anyone complain to me and someone take my equipment off me or anything like that. But I also got that because I fly some drones. So I've got DJI drones that I've got, a Mini 4 and a Mini 3 Pro. So because I fly them, I got those. I got the operator ID and the flyer ID, because it is kind of law if you're flying over a 250 gram drone, and mine have the extended battery, so they're slightly over. But anyway, coming back to the flying planes. So now, yeah, so I've flown a few jets. I've flown them a couple of times. I mean, and the problem is getting out, and also because I live in the UK, the weather is not always great. So this week I've been itching to get my second video done for the Albatross, the Arrows Albatross, but the weather has been extremely poor. The weekend just gone, there was Storm May or April or whatever the hell it was called. So that the whole weekend was written off. So getting out on a weekend is the only chance I've got of getting out, because during the week I'm working, and the only time I can use the park is early morning. So when I go there early morning, there's hardly anybody ever there. Maybe just one person I'll see jogging along, but the majority of the time it's just empty. And if you look at my video, you'll see, you know, there's hardly any people walking around there. So that's where I go. Would I want to go to an airfield? The two that I've been to already, no. There is another one which I said that I might try and see how that one is. But yeah, that's kind of how I learned how to fly, and I'm getting better all the time. So now, you know, I can do loops, I can do barrel rolls, and my finger is always on that safe button though. But at the end of the day, I also have to accept that I may crash. Like the last flight that I did with the Albatross, I was flying it, it was great, lovely, and then a whole bunch of birds came up from the ground, and I lost sight of my plane. I didn't know which one was my plane and which one was the bird. And yeah, I thought I was following my plane, but it wasn't. It was a bird, and then I saw my plane just crash into the ground. However, I mean, that was kind of my fault, because I had my finger on that safe button and I should have just pressed it, but I didn't. I thought I knew what I was following, and obviously I didn't. But you know, that's part of flying, and next time I'll know that if there are any birds on the ground, stay away from them and fly on the other side. But yeah, it was something I didn't think of, and these are the kind of things that are going to crop up in your flying experience that, you know, you will remember not to do next time or be wary of. So that's how my journey has been so far with planes. You know, I mean, I like flying planes. It's great. I still like doing RC cars as well. RC cars are great as well. You know, and my videos mostly about RC cars and Leeds Bashers events and the planes. I'm really getting into my planes. I like planes. Then there are things like transmitters. Which transmitter do I buy? So on and so on. I've already talked about it a little bit. You know, a lot of the videos, these guys use Spectrum. You don't, yeah, they're expensive, but you don't have to go and buy the top of the range one. Yeah, you can buy it from Marketplace. I mean, I saw one the other day. It was a NX8, and they were selling it for £199. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. It was close to me. Could have gone there, tried it out. He was quite happy for me to, or whatever, whoever the buyer was, to show you it working. Right, £180. Okay, FlySky is cheaper, but I didn't want to buy a FlySky because there's not many videos of people doing plane reviews using FlySky or FlySky or Radiomaster for that matter. Okay, so I really wanted to use something that I could watch a video on. So if I, for example, if I went out and bought a new plane, I could look up that plane on YouTube, see someone doing an unbox build of it, and I could follow along the steps. Okay, rather than having to ask people, how do you do this, how do you do that, because I'm not familiar with the radio, and there isn't a video out there showing you how it's been put together. So that's why I bought a Spectrum unit. But like I said, you don't have to buy a new one, you can buy a second-hand one. So anyway, I hope this video does help. I've linked to all of the planes that I've used so far. The Volantic series planes are really, really awesome planes. They really did help a lot. And you know what, I did a few videos on them, but I flew those planes a lot. So I used to take like 2-3 batteries out. So I'd use one battery for the video, and then the other 2 batteries I would just use flying the plane around. It was brilliant. You know, and just practicing coming in low, practice going up, practicing rolling to one side, rolling to the other side. It's all about practice. The more you get out there and fly, the better you'll become. And it was a case of have it in beginning mode, take it into intermediate mode, and then do some loops, do some barrel rolls. And as soon as I feel the plane getting away from me, back into beginner mode. And that's the whole reason of those gyros, is to help beginner pilots, get used to flying and get you out of trouble if the worst is about to happen. And if the worst does happen, they're not that expensive to replace. And the majority of times I've crashed mine, I've got some scuff marks on it, and I've broken, I think all in all I've broken about 4 propellers, and I still have 6 left because I bought 10 of them, right? And there was like 30 quid for 10. So that's where I've got to so far. I hope this video does help. The forums I will take with a pinch of salt. Some of the information on there I don't think is 100%. It may be for you. If you live close to an airfield and you can go there every day, fair enough. Airfields I go to, they're 45 minutes away. The closest one was 45 minutes away. There is another one now that I've seen that's 40 minutes away. It's still 40 minutes away, so it's 40 minutes there, 40 minutes back. And I don't know what that airfield might be like. But the 2 that I did go to, I didn't like them. Didn't like them at all. They were unhelpful. It was almost as if they didn't want any beginner pilots there. So, you know, why would I go back? And it's a shame because it's not free. You have to pay a membership. So whoever runs the club is losing membership for new RC beginners, new RC plane pilots, because these guys are, you know, they're not helpful at all. So it's a shame, but there you go. So yeah, like I said, hope this video helps and kind of gives you like an insight into how I got into flying planes and where I've gotten to so far. I've got a couple of more bigger planes coming. I mean, the thing with those Arrows, Viper, pocket rockets as they're called, the good thing about those, right, the EDF jets, the reason why I started with those ones is that there's no landing gear, so I don't have to worry about retracts. There's no flaps, so I don't have to worry about flaps, and most of them don't have a rudder, so there's no worrying about rudder either. So it's literally a case of power up, throwing the plane in the air, throttling on the left, and then your right stick is used for going left, right, up and down. Okay, that's all you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about flaps, you don't have to worry about the retracts or any of that stuff. It's a real beginner EDF, and I think that's the whole point of those EDF Arrows planes. I mean, they've got quite a few of them, but they're really easy to fly. I thought they were really easy to fly. Now I have got some bigger ones now, so I'm doing a plane now which has got flaps and so on and so on. But that's something I think I'm ready to move on to. So we will see. So yeah, like I said, I hope this video helps and kind of gives you a view of how I got to where I am in flying. And please don't think that I'm an expert, because I will tell you I am not an expert. I'm still learning, and I would still say that I'm a beginner, but I wouldn't say that I'm an absolute new beginner, because I can fly and I can land, just near into intermediate, I would say. Anyway, cool. I think I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for joining me, and if you've got any questions, put it in the comment or reach out to me on Facebook or wherever. And until next time, fly it like you mean it, and I will see you soon. Oh, and please do subscribe, because you will then get to see all the other videos that I've got coming with the new planes, with the flaps and the retracting gear and so on and so on. So if you want to watch those videos and how I set them up and how I build them, because I will be doing a build video on it, so it's going to be a build video for newbies, right? So it might be useful to somebody, I think. So yeah, please do subscribe for that if you want to watch that. So until then, see you soon. Take it easy. Ta-ra.